Hello, morning, afternoon. In fact, it's afternoon, guys. I had that much of a big night last night. I actually can't remember. I'm losing track of time. But folks, for the few of you that jumped in, just do me a massive favor. Please like and share the stream, whatever platform you're listening on. We've decided to change the time slightly to from our usual time on a Wednesday at 8:30 to Sundays, just to kind of fit all three of our schedules. So we're going to trial out the Sundays. We're going to be talking about all things crypto, NFTs, some of the stuff that's happening in the TokenWorks ecosystem. I know Simon's really heavily into the AI stuff, but I just want to get a quick update from you guys as to how your week's been, what you guys have been up to. Simon, you've been traveling, have you? Or
Yes, I have. I unexpectedly again, but I was supposed to be having a really nice week in the UK, just getting over traveling too much, when a really good friend of mine called me and said, who runs a consultancy, and said, I know you've been away the last few weeks. Do you fancy going away again? I said, not really. He said, I really need you to, because there's no one else. So I ended up, I really nearly didn't go. And then I ended up in Turin in Italy, in a castle above on the hills, and it was probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. So it's funny when you say yes to something, isn't it? Occasionally it works out. So I'm a bit tired. And by the way, just one last thing, not that it really will be big news anyway, but I was wearing this Down Windows t-shirt on the plane, and I took a photograph of it. I have washed it. I washed it yesterday when I got back.
I thought you were a little bit grubby, mate, because you keep wearing the same t-shirt, but
I know it is always washed.
The beauty of the live streams is I can't smell you, mate. So it's
well, no, and you wouldn't want to. So I'm
only joking.
Glad we're doing live streams.
I'm only joking. Burge, how have you been, bud? I know that obviously the last couple of weeks or months now, you've moved into your new flat. Everything going all right, mate?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I went home at the weekend, went out for my mum's birthday. So yeah, had a nice weekend.
Yeah,
ready for the new week.
Good. What have I been up to? Obviously, I play cricket on Saturdays. I know there's a few people that kind of dive in and listen. Cricket is a bit like my release on a weekend, but it's kind of stooped in tradition that you have a beer after the game with the opposition. I don't drink normally, but I had a couple of beers last night, so hence a little bit groggy, feeling a little bit dusty. But we can't miss the live stream. So
well, you were saying Saturday is your day, isn't it?
It is my day.
You got your cricket.
Do you know the meme where people say, go outside and touch some grass? Well, touching grass for me is playing cricket on a Saturday. And it's kind of like gets me away from, firstly, doing content, the price fluctuations of things. People like, obviously on my Substack newsletter, I write and research about certain topics. And when prices come down, I get a whole bunch of messages and DMs from people. Is this still going to be a thing? Is it the end of the cycle? And people are asking all the regular things. And I do have some stuff that we can share. Some other voices in the space that have some views on kind of where we are in the cycle. Simon, it looks like you want to.
I just wanted to ask you, when you do go out on that one night off with everyone, going out for drinks, do you start saying at about 11 o'clock at night, can I tell you all about NFTs? And kind of the opposition around as well.
It's just one of these things that I try and avoid, to be honest. I try and not speak about it. The thing with the NFTs is that it's a huge source of social connection, especially online. And I say this often, you look at the three of us, we've obviously met through NFTs, but people are going to meet through these NFT communities. And you look at just the pricing of basically all of the top 300 assets. I did a little tweet, which has gone semi-viral, which was or a post, which has gone semi-viral, which is the median price appreciation of all of the top 300 NFT assets is up 35%. And actually, out of those 300, there's not a single one that's down in price. I think the last kind of 30 days, if you use that time window. So obviously, these NFT assets are operating a bit more like the coins, except for the fact that the purchasing behavior is that people are getting attached to the NFTs and they're only buying one, and they're forming their friendship groups around the asset, which makes it a lot harder to sell. And then obviously, just to circle back to your comment, then obviously it's going to be something that you talk about more often than less. And I know we joke around about that, just don't mention NFTs on dates. Don't mention it on night. Don't mention it in social situations. In fact, don't mention it ever, because you just get the piss taken out of you. which in I guess UK terms basically means you get made fun of. But it's I've got to just clarify. But it'll become more and more of a thing, and I think as it becomes more of a thing and more attention flows are on it, more businesses will try and maximize it or exploit the NFT ecosystem. Every single business is going to launch an NFT project the same way they have a social media account. This is just going to become
so true. Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, actually, to both of you, you know, with Burge, you pushing forward and trying to get these meetups really off the ground and how important they are. And we've always said that, and most people say that. It's really interesting to have heard Adam Weitzman say that recently. He says one of the most compelling things about NFTs is bringing people together. And I think he did do that recently, didn't he? Didn't he have a big gathering, which apparently was great?
I think that was at his place in New York.
Yeah. So I think that's great. Can we come around to yours, Jaden?
Yeah,
and do a big meetup at yours.
Yeah.
Boy, my 3-bed mid-terrace compared to Adam Weitzman. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to play this video.
Well, talking about IRL events, I mean, did you see the viral clip of who is it, Clemente, talking about like consensus and like networking? It got shared in our group.
Yes. Was it a a bit skeptical about them, or what was he?
Well, I think it was satire, right? Wasn't it? It was making fun of like the idea of like these people going to these events trying to network. And
interesting, guys. I want to kick things off with firstly where you folks think we are in the market at the moment. Obviously, the first thing we usually start the show off with is where we think we are in the cycle. Now, obviously, there's a whole bunch of there's kind of like I do these TikTok live streams, and there's a whole bunch of people who are either in two camps of crypto's dead, it's in a bear market, and likely things aren't coming back for another 12 months. And there's another group of people who are, I guess, a bit more positive, who are saying that right now is going to be the start of a bull market. And I think the answer is kind of somewhere in the middle, because no one really knows. But I think actually it's not really going to be a bear market because I think the cat's out the bag now. People have already played the 4-year cycle framework. But I just wanted to get a feel for you guys and where you think we are in the current market. Do you think it's a bear market, bull market, maybe somewhere in the middle? Simon?
Well, I was about to go Burge, but I'm very happy to kick it off. I was going to say one thing for me is whether you can or not separate NFTs from the wider crypto market. Maybe you can't. Maybe you can. Maybe there's an argument for it. And I know you should go by. Say again, sorry.
It's definitely decoupling. Like if you look at the top,
it definitely feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if ETH was down and to the right, and NFTs are going up, so it's kind of like it's going into a headwind. And obviously, a huge function of the NFT ecosystem is Ethereum. And obviously, like if you think about it, people who are up in ETH terms, and you get this kind of zigzag effect of ETH going up, it pushing the NFT down because it reprices in dollars. So now people who are up in ETH terms think, oh, I can get that NFT that I've wanted for a cheaper price. And then if they're sat in fiat and ETH goes down, they can buy the ETH, and then they can kind of do the kind of zigzag thing. But I think there's an obvious cultural shift into people investing in alternative assets. And obviously this hybrid model of this kind of phygital of, people buying these physical alternative assets through a digital receipt or digital wrapper, which is essentially an NFT. Most of them are on Polygon of all platforms. Like Courtyard do a lot of their digital collectibles on Polygon. So I think people are realizing there's too much friction to the physical. So they're just going to buy the NFT. And that's what's accelerating this kind of overheating of collectibles, and it's just going to go straight to digital because
I do agree. I think partly it's difficult for me to gauge personally because I sometimes think I'm being influenced a bit by 2021 PTSD. And so there's a big part of me going, God, this does feel very different. There's no doubt it does feel different, and it is different this time around with NFTs. I think you just have to see what's being said, and people just saying enough is enough of how it used to be. We need to be looking much more long term, and and be more collaborative and be more about the collectible and the connection, and the rest will do its work, as it were. And also teams are so highly evolved now from what they were in 2021 and what their offering can do, and they're so much more mature. So all those things are no doubt. So part of the PTSD is making me think, when is it all going to go back? But you actually, and probably Burge as well, you kind of have taught things in a very practical way. You're just looking at the stats. You're looking at how things are moving. I think whatever happens in the crypto market, which will ebb and flow, we are nearly, which is rather frightening, nearly halfway through the year. Which, as we said before about, isn't it funny in crypto land, how you mark out the years and it moves so quickly, because you're always told, well, look, I think in summer it's gonna, or I think in the autumn it's going to, and
it folds time in half.
It folds itself when you get there. So now that we are where we are, I feel that we may have pullbacks inevitably, but I think personally it's all going to start to get slowly better and better and stronger and stronger. And I'm particularly excited about the world of NFTs. I just think something has shifted, and it's feeling very excited. Very pleased to have hung on.
Yeah. How about your thoughts, Burge?
I mean, you see people on the timeline literally hammering OpenSea to launch their token.
Yes.
Because the market conditions, at least from the timeline's point of view, is, they think that these are optimal market conditions to launch the C token. For me personally, I don't think we're quite there yet. I think OpenSea are probably thinking the same thing. They want slightly better market conditions than now. Like they really want to launch when it's obviously picking up. And I think obviously it has picked up, but I don't think it's only had this small uptick. And now it's kind of plateaued a little bit. I think we need to see a little bit more for OpenSea to get behind it. And it's for me as well to have confidence going into the back half of this year. I need to see a little bit more growth in the NFT and the crypto markets, and I also need to see some things resolve in the world, so whether it be the US Iran war, that needs to be resolved, and then I need to see the macroeconomic situation improve a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I think if you're going to be someone who's leaning into opportunity, waiting for that complete information is probably, it's kind of like the cat's out the bag. Then I think we're in a bit of a Goldilocks zone, because I think the Iran thing's priced in. You've seen a bit of a recovery on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's consolidated for the last kind of 13 weeks. New Fed chair this month, Kevin Walsh, he's already saying that he thinks we should lower rates. Then you got the midterms in November. So you've got a lot of, I guess, political influence. Trump is going to want to have to get these prices pumping, because a huge portion of his voter base own crypto. They're currently down badly. He can say as much as he likes on the timeline that it's the golden age and blah, blah, blah. But there's no hiding place for data. And if your Bitcoin, if you're 30, 40, 50% down on your Bitcoin, or 40% down your Bitcoin and 60% down in the old coins that you're holding, that doesn't feel like the golden age, and it doesn't feel like you're winning. And I think he acutely knows, without getting to the political chat, he acutely knows that he's very influential on prices. And he also knows that when the debts get rolled, that these asset prices go up. I don't know if you've read anything on Scott Bessent. He's the Secretary of Treasury. A lot of his investing style is based on the liquidity cycle. And he can see when the Treasury are refinancing debt, that the assets go up. And he actually did a piece when Biden was in power, the last election, where Biden was rolling the debts with Janet Yellen in a bid to get reelected. And this is what every sitting president does. So the midterms are going to be a big one. He's going to want to get the economy pumping up to then. And then there's a couple of other signals like the ISM. The last 4 months of data are showing that the economy is improving. So I think now is a Goldilocks zone. Now is a time for people to kind of lean into this stuff, but stick to the, some people put on the timeline, they're buying Fartcoin, or they're buying fucking, some obscure token. Yeah, I'm doubling down, and now's a good time. to buy the dip and blah, blah, blah. Stick to the sweet spot of the obvious battle tested assets. Don't take on more risk. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yes.
I don't know if either you got any thoughts on that, but we'll kind of, if you haven't, we kind of segue onto go on.
No, one thing I would say is I saw the same thing that you just said there. I saw this post just now looking through the timeline. Someone said, you're going to really keep recycling out of good NFT projects with proven founders to chase new slop.
Yeah.
Even happens in the NFT world, right? Not just in the coins.
Yeah. And it happens in the NFT world because and the crypto world, because people are trying to chase those ridiculous percentage gains, right? That can really only be made when you find something new and it hasn't been found by the market yet. So people are so addicted. It comes back to kind of what we've said before on previous lives, where, you know, we've said like, well, a 2x or a 3x is nothing in the NFT or crypto world. In the traditional investing world, that'd be insane. But 2 to 3x is like the bet. Like you don't even really celebrate that. You're looking at 10, 20, 30x. And that's what these people are trying to do. I think that's why they recycle out of good projects, is because they try and catch the new hype train to try and make the next 10, 20, 30x. But that can be a very risky game to play.
Yeah, but I think they recycle out of those because they get caught in echo chambers. In NFTs is very easy to get caught in an echo chamber because you're meeting with the people in person. You imagine you go to a meetup, you know, we've done a couple of meetups or whatever, and there's like 30, 40 people there. And all of a sudden, everyone's talking about the same thing and saying, this is good, this is good. Now you're in an echo chamber. Now you think this is what the wider market thinks. So you get sucked into it. And actually, a big mistake that people make, not just with NFTs, with coins, is they rotate out of their core winning bets, especially during bull markets. And then they catch the market wrong. They've got less exposure to their core winning bet. And they've rotated further down the risk curve into some more speculative stuff that hasn't been proven, hasn't got that kind of runway behind it. And then it drops by 90%, and then you're fucked. Like
I agree. And also, just to say, for me, what people then lose reality check on is actually they're already in a high risk collection. I mean, we're already just being in NFTs. It's pretty high risk, right?
Yeah.
Even though I know we get so accustomed to it, we don't see certain, it's not even speculative with certain ones because we really are so convinced. But if you take a step back, of course, why would you not be in some of the major ones? Because they're already risky. Why go even more ridiculous down the line? But the only thing I also would say is it really comes to what you said, Burge, or both of you, about this manic need for 30x. When you join you hop into a new collection because you think, I quite like that. Maybe it's a bit of art, and art's coming through quite a bit at the moment. I've noticed small art collections pushing through. You suddenly get invited into private X groups about that. And then suddenly you're in a hype world where everyone's going, what we're going to do got to keep posting, got to keep hyping. Yeah. And then you think, if you really, this is my personal feeling, if this is what it's about, you know, it's got a very small chance probably of getting anywhere because it's purely people desperate to hype it. It's got nothing to do with the quality of what you've got and the founders.
I mean, I do see that with actually a few prominent projects that do that. They have these groups for engagement. And I just think maybe that's just like a cheap little tactic. And I do see it with prominent collections. Obviously, I won't name any of them, but it's like they have these raid groups, or they have announcements in the Discords where they're like, right, raid this thing. And it might be like a prominent person talking about NFTs, or they'll ask. I probably have it with Adam Weitzman where he says, right, I'm looking to get into an NFT project, recommend something for me.
Oh, you see everyone piling on.
And then everyone piling in, but they have these coordinated groups of people saying, right, let's get some. And I just think, I think that's got like a distribution feel to it. Whereas I think for people to keep these NFTs, a huge function of these NFTs going up in price is people not selling them. And for people not to sell them, they've got to care about it. So then why are they going to care about it? It's either history, because they want to own a piece of history, nostalgia through culturally significant art, or the IP. And I think the biggest tell with the IP, and Burge, we picked this up a couple of weeks ago, which is the storytelling. It's like the biggest difference. If you look on secondary sales on eBay, and you picked this up on your Burgess Bangers a couple of weeks ago, which is look how many people care about the products. VeeFriends, there were like 29,000 listings. And then you look at something like Pudgy Penguins, there were 9. Or you can look at other projects, Moonbirds, there's none. Chimpers, I don't think there's many. And that's not to dunk on those, but I think the biggest gap there is the connection of the storytelling. Because if they're connected with it, they'll care more about the product. And then there's more on secondary sales, which is why VeeFriends wins. VeeFriends wins it. This is a VeeFriends world, and every other NFT project is living in it. And I know, Simon, you're not going to like that, but it just is what it is, mate. It just, I know. Simon's like, right.
No, I will not rise. No. I'm only joking. We got one. Yeah. No, I think VeeFriends is wonderful, and I totally agree with you. I maybe wouldn't say we're in a VeeFriends world, but I mean, Bored Ape Yacht Club might have a word to say about that and things. But
I would agree. I would agree.
But what I would say, interesting, Beanie said, we're talking about, as you said, Verge, hyped groups where it's nothing to do with the collection. It's just people frenetically trying to hype each other up to do something like make so much money and it won't get anywhere most of the time. Beanie said, Bored Ape Yacht Club floor price showing strong resilience. Dips are being bought, no mass selling. I've been bearish for 4 years because the bounce backs were obviously fake, but this time it feels different. Streamers fading, no KOL paid promos, everybody sidelined, perfect storm for NFT meta. And it goes to what you've said about you've built up too much of a history with these and too much collective care and passion.
Well, the thing, Burge, I'll let you dive in here, but I mean, I'll give my 2 cents, which is, firstly, I'll just say a massive shout out to Jake. He's joining in from LinkedIn. He says VeeFriends have onboarded so many normies, and that's true.
Very true, Jake.
It's why it's not correlated with what's happening in crypto. And he says through collectibles, which is pretty cool. Jake, thanks for joining on that.
Great.
But the thing with Bored Ape Yacht Club is they're synonymous with the space. In the same way, like you could speak because there's so many derivative projects. There's so many derivative projects of Bored Ape Yacht Club. You speak to anyone outside of the space, and you go, right, okay. Do you know anything about NFTs? Name me an NFT project. They'll say nothing apart from, oh, you mean the ape pictures, and that is just. And I know there's apes that are in CryptoPunks, but Bored Ape Yacht Club is kind of synonymous with the space in the same way, I guess. Red Sauce or Ketchup is to Red Sauce. It's kind of like they're just a part. And also you've got kind of like a Punks Coca-Cola, and then you've got a Pepsi, or you've got a Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I guess is Punks and Bored Ape Yacht Club. So you've got that yin and yang type thing. Or counter push.
Are VeeFriends mustard or brown sauce or chili?
Yeah, I mean,
no, look, you know that I'm getting myself pretty stressed because I need to get a VeeFriends Series 1.
So you got to do whatever you got to do, mate. You got to.
It's because I'm surrounded by VeeFriends.
Yeah,
either side of me right now, but also because I've just listened to so much about it from you guys and in our private group, Carrot Lane group. Clearly it's a brilliant one to go for, and I'd like to also be completely taken over by VeeFriends.
Yeah, but Simon, you have a good eye for this stuff, mate. You've got a very good eye for this stuff. You pick up things really early, so you've just got to not. In fact, just do the opposite of that. Just do what you think. Do what you think's the right thing. I just want to circle back. Obviously, we've Burge, did you have anything you want to chuck in there before I go to this video?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Obviously, we're talking about the market. There's a guy called Raoul Powell that we all know. I was about to say a friend of the show, but he's never been on the show. He doesn't know we exist. He's probably a friend of the show. I mean, he'd get on with us. Probably, if we hung out, he'd probably bring his wine and get smashed like he does on his own live streams. But Raoul Powell's very good for some of the macro stuff. His timing's been off, but I think directionally he's brilliant. People are now dunking on him on the timeline because he came up with this whole banana zone thing. And then obviously the banana zone didn't happen. So loads of people just reply under his tweets saying, where's my fucking banana zone? You promised me a bull market.
Yes, seen that. Yes.
As if he's the ruler of crypto. you know, the wise savant that everyone's got to lean towards, but he's very good. And he got interviewed quickly, and I don't know where this was, but he gets interviewed. I'll just zoom in on this a second.
Maybe it was Consensus.
Guys, I'm with my idol, Raoul Pal, the guy that got me into crypto when I was 12. Thank you so much. Raoul, what do you say the market, where are we heading by the end of 2026 in your opinion?
I've had the same opinion all along. When everybody freaked out in October and everything else, and it's a temporary aberration. I still think it continues strongly all the way through to the end of 26 and maybe into 27.
Well, thank you so much, Raoul. What is the coin that you think has the most good performance apart from Bitcoin this year?
I'm still focused a lot on SWI.
I can hear another.
Also Zcash is interesting. Tau is interesting. But you know, we'll wait and see how it plays out. I still think ETH and Solana do super well as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Raoul.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think we heard two different streams there, but
hold on 2 seconds.
But I could hear, I tuned into the Raoul Pal one. I thought it was someone in the background of the video.
Yeah, hold on 2 seconds. I'm trying to get it off the screen.
Oh yeah, it might be in the background, Simon. Yeah. What do you think?
No,
about Simon?
it was just someone talking in the background. It's fine, but I think directionally, what he's saying is right. Like, I know he's big on SUI, which is another is coin I'm kind of big on. He's also very bullish on the NFT stuff. But what were your kind of thoughts on that? Do you think it's a bit of hopium? Do you think maybe this goes into next year?
What do you think, Reg?
I mean, I think no, I'm kind of with him. I think this year is still kind of up in the air a little bit. I think next year will be strong, but I'm also conscious that, you know, I thought the later half of last year was going to be strong, and then we had some disruption there. So I think there's more. There's a lot of factors that go into this. It's not just about the timing. Like, the timing feels right now for NFTs to have a revival and for the crypto market to pick back up, but a lot of other things have to go the right way as well for that to play out.
Yeah, I was thinking that I've followed him for ages. He's a real smooth operator, isn't he? Because he can
Raoul Pal.
Raoul Pal, yeah, because he says these things. He said, "Well, I've been saying all along," and actually, he is, and he's often at a very big level. The macro level is correct, but I think when you start pinning yourself to times, he does do that, and then it sometimes, quite often, doesn't materialize as he said it would. But I love his conviction, his bigger conviction. And I also think he's an interesting person because he kind of covers both sides, doesn't he? The coins, and he's heavily into NFTs, particularly the art.
Yeah.
Which I think makes him an interesting person. He's obviously absolutely all in this space, whether he gets his timings right or not. And he's super confident about it, which is great.
Yeah, awesome. I just want to segue slightly. Obviously, a big NFT project that did over 100 million in trading volume back in 2022 was Deadfellas. Now, I know that Simon, you've been in contact with Betty, obviously, about getting her on the live stream. She has been relentless for the last probably 3 or 4 years. Very visible. If you look at the collection, like 61%. They have a 61% holder ratio. There's less than 100 of them listed, which is insane. And obviously the significance of that high holder ratio is that more people own one, then they don't want to let go of that one. And once they've developed that network effects, or they've built these friendship groups around these assets, it's a bit like selling out your friendship group, which is obviously a very difficult thing to do. But then I think the other kind of added ingredient into Deadfellas is, I know she's in partnership with her hubby, and I know her partner was the one that did the art, but the backstory of it's really interesting. I think they lost their jobs during the pandemic. They took one swing at doing this NFT project, obviously did very well at it. But I think there are a whole bunch of people in NFT land who want to support the underdog. And there's no greater underdog in a male-dominated environment than a lone female who's trying to make her way in the space. And there's a whole bunch of males that want to support that person. Because I think there's a lot of good, despite a lot of negativity I think we see around masculinity and all these sorts of things. I actually think there are a whole bunch of men, or the vast majority of men, that want to support some of these females in the space. I'm seeing it with Victoria Verdandi. I see it in our group with a whole bunch of guys in there who want to support her. Obviously, she's very good. You know, you got to be good to start with. And I'm seeing the same behavior pattern with Deadfellas. Have either of you looked at Deadfellas, or have you got any thoughts on it?
I've been in Deadfellas as an owner of one. I always meant to get more for years now. I remember at a time when it all sort of came out, it felt really different. The art was unbelievably different and really striking. And it's difficult to have that in this space, something that really stands out. But I always thought it was a little bit, as you say, like off center. It wasn't traditional. It had its own absolute identity. And also, as you say, the story of Betty and it's Syke, isn't it? The artist, if I pronounced that correctly, artist and inventor of Dead Lucky Game, which I haven't played yet. I was messaging Betty as saying, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to inventing puzzle games, and it looks like he's done a brilliant one there. I said, if you're coming onto the show, then whatever happens, I will play it before you get in, so I can nerd out just on the game. But I really admire them. I really admire her. They obviously super complement each other in terms of how they work, because he's doing what he's doing and she's out there really pushing. She's been, as she said, taking some time out, I believe, before, although she seemed to be always around. And I really rate what they do, their hard work and graft. And another thing, it's really interesting, you're talking about women in NFTs and in crypto. It's interesting because one always talks about World of Women being a kind of representative collection. And it's neither making judgments either way. Massively into World of Women, whatever may or may not be happening at different times. But what I love is kind of Betty just doesn't have to tap into anything else other than just being her and pushing that, because she's pushing her collection. Maybe it's not even for her about being a woman or a man. I mean, obviously it's important, and she is holding that flag. But I think the most important is she's a tenacious, seems to be a very tenacious, warm person who just wants to absolutely make this work and loves the space. And I don't think it needs to be representing anything other than that. She's a very, very powerful, and I think a really great founder. She sort of represents what you should be doing, grafting, getting out there, doing it.
No, I agree. Buzz, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through the website, the Deadfellas website, and looking at the collection on OpenSea. I mean, the thing that strikes me the most is that I feel like it could blow up as a video game. Like if they release like an actual good video game with this type of like IP, I think it could go somewhere. I think the problem that a lot of NFT projects are struggling with right now is direction. Like, what do they go after? Like, we've seen a few projects now pivot towards like physical collectibles, but that was after they've seen, like enough of a trend to have confidence that was going to pay dividends. The problem is, I think we need more NFT projects kind of being adventurous in what path they take, and trying to really, take their own path instead of doing what everyone else is doing. And I'm trying to see like how are NFT holders of projects like Deadfellas, how are they going to win? How is the project going to win in the long term? And I think it comes down to like trying to take a unique path. And I think the art looks super strong. I think the community, I don't know enough about how strong the community is, how active the Discord or the community has been over the last
it shows
few
in the
years.
holder behavior.
It does.
The
Yes.
holder behavior, yeah.
The thing
But-
is,
But
Go
then
on.
you've always got to couple that with, sometimes, holder behavior can happen because, people aren't able to sell out. So there's that as well. That's at play.
Yeah.
yeah.
I tell you
The
what,
thing is, there is
you may
large
not know
amounts.
that. Can I show you something, Jaden? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go on.
Because I'm really into Ape Chain, because back in October 2024 when
Yeah.
it all launched, I went a bit crazy with some of those collections, and it was great. They Deadfellows did do a collection on Ape Chain called Ghost Machine.
Yeah.
Now it's trading really low in terms of the ape, but I've got about 22 of them, and I don't know if you can see this, but it's such cool and different kind of art.
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
And it's just really different, and that's what I really like about the artist, because able to create art that stands out. I mean, to your point, Burge, yes, of course, who knows where some of these collections will go, but what I really like about Deadfellows at the moment is that it has got its place in the history of the last NFT bull run, hasn't it? It has weathered the storm.
This is it. It's going to have a Lindy effect.
I think it's just finding.
Sold. There is trading volume, so people could have sold. So this is not a. I tell you, the one thing that scares the shit out of me is where artists and founders try and do something like a game. Like,
true, it's very ambitious.
I've just got to say it, because the chances of it failing
are so high.
Probably 100%. Probably not 98% failure rate. This is like trying to. You've got to develop a game that people are going to want to play. It's a bit like I heard someone who's I think his name's Gabe Layden. He's like a gaming producer, and he says one of the things he says that they're a bit like a really good Netflix series that hits and people are locked into it, or a good series. He says to do that, it has to do really well, else people just lose engagement with it. They're not. And I think for these NFT projects, it's just the distraction. It kind of reminds me, and I don't know anything about this game, by the way. It could just be a simple thing.
And it is. I think it's more a puzzle game.
Yeah, this one is.
Big. And I going to what you said. Yeah, I think large scale games. That's a lot.
I think if you do a large scale game, you need to partner with an actual game like company that knows how to make games, and successful games at that. It can't be like if the NFT project themselves or the artists themselves try to lead like creating a game, it's most likely going to fail. It's almost 100% guaranteed to fail. If they partner with a game studio that actually knows how to make real good games and can then use the IP, so they license the IP for the game, I think that's a world where it could play out really well. But we haven't seen that really.
Because I've always liked to invent and play puzzle games, which are not expensive and just absorbing, hopefully, and fun. I think they're lower risk and maybe just engaging rather than big full-blown games.
For me, I think the obvious thing is what you're doing with the meetups. That is the biggest bridge that NFT projects can do. Like, if you're a creative and you're not necessarily a founder, I think the obvious thing that you can do is it's like I used to be in business with a person who was very good. And one of the things he said is, when you get good people, get them around a table, get them around a table together, because it locks in that excitement. And this is what NFT projects do. It's like, if you have a community of people, get them around a table. It's like what Gary Vee did with VeeFriends. He had 3 years of VCon. Now people are hooking up, getting married. We're doing meetups in the UK. This is a US-based business. It's like, this is how you lock in those network effects. This is why every single business is going to launch an NFT project, because it gets their customer base around a fucking table. So
I know, I agree. I'll be really interested to see, you said that about they will all have their own NFT project. I think that's really exciting. It'll be really interesting to see how they get into that, which path they take, what makes it click for them, for every bit, businesses start to go en masse. what they will actually, what will be the hook for them
The marketing,
en masse.
the attention.
Yeah.
The
But
attention.
it'll be, what I'm thinking is about what gets them to educate them to even get to that first point.
Well,
And
the thing is,
that's that gap.
the friction will go. You won't have
Yeah.
you won't have all this. In fact, you'll just do it as a digital contract that you're releasing. Not even talking about the fact that it's on blockchain rails.
There'll
It'll
be
just
an email, not even a wallet, but we wallet through an email for
Yeah.
people, probably.
Yeah.
It'll just be interesting to see what will hook them in the first place to make the connection. This is how you a marketing tool. That will be the interesting part. And when once companies start to do it and are forward thinking, then it will suddenly snowball, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
there'll be some early adopters.
the thing is, if you know, look at like I bought a mutant, and obviously I did it as a bit of a business play because I'm going to write about why I purchased it and track the price of it and share it and just see what happens with it. But the irony is the double play was the fact that it now has close to, I think, 2 million impressions just on the picture or the screenshot that I've taken of it. And the irony is I've had a whole bunch of people screenshotting and saying, well, I could have done the same and blah, blah, blah. Not quite the same because obviously mine's on a blockchain, and I reply with the same thing is like, oh, I just screenshotted your profile. Looks like I own that too. And obviously these right click and savers. So
well, exactly. And also, Jane, I was just thinking, on Amazon, with Amazon Games and the partnership with Other Side, and I think it's been with Pudgy, that again was trying to, it's gone. That was again bridging the gap between, having it all, getting a frictionless experience without wallet, just email to purchase an NFT. So I think that's quite good. Can I just say, while we're doing a live stream, I had got distracted because my 19-year-old daughter said, I'm going out this afternoon. Can you give me some money, please?
yeah, can you
do you know what I'm doing?
Belmondo's or not?
Yeah, will a really cheap NFT do instead? Sorry, so I'm going to have to do that because she's about to go out, but that's why I might look a bit distracted.
Yeah, no, you're fine, mate. You're fine.
I'll say only if you actually get a digital wallet, and that'll be it.
Yeah, you got bargain with her.
Yeah. But that's perfect segue, mate. I want to bring you on to more of the conversation that's happening. Are you looking at anything on the timeline? I know that VeeFriends are now doing a Topps Chrome collab.
Yes.
I've had so many people message me because obviously I've got VeeFriends and they're like, right, can I take your claims and all this sort of stuff? What do you think happens with that? Do you think it's going to build the hype?
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. I mean, that's their trademark. That's their biggest release of the year. It's Topps Chrome. They've obviously did their first release of Topps Chrome VeeFriends last year in June, and they're doing the same this year as well. And so it's going to be a big deal. It's going to bring a lot of excitement to VeeFriends once again, to VeeFriends collectibles, all different collectibles. It will trickle down through to the earlier sets as well, like Series 2, the TCG, the first Chrome set, Series 1, etc. So that's going to be really exciting to see how that plays out. Obviously, last year being the first year, maybe that was bigger, or that will be bigger, or perhaps I kind of imagine, I think maybe this year it will go from strength to strength. I think it'll get even bigger with this year's release. So yeah, that's really interesting. On timeline, I don't know. I'm seeing a ton of different things. OpenSea talking about they posted this thing saying redacted, which was kind of like replying to Phantom also posting something saying redacted with like some kind of like a picture of like a military picture where they have like redactions on stuff. So that was interesting to see. And as I said before, people really asking for the C token. So maybe that was hinting about something coming down the line. And then, I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff. I mean, I've saw that Consensus, the closing party, was at a strip club. I was like, what the hell?
Is that with the guy being at the bar?
Yeah. There's
he falls in his own wee.
the official consensus 2026 closing party by CoinDesk was at a strip club, and there's this whole post by this person saying how, you know, that seems like a step back for the industry.
You could say that, couldn't you?
I don't know. I don't know why did they pick a strip club? Like, why didn't they just go to a club? But yeah, it's an odd decision for sure. And then the last one here: Senate Banking Committee schedules Crypto Clarity Act vote for May 14th.
Oh,
so
yes.
The Crypto Clarity Act is they're gonna have a vote in the Senate on May the 14th. That's really interesting as well. So going back to what you said earlier, like, there's a lot of stuff that is like playing at that we've kind of, you know, we would have only dreamed about this, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, of like actual regulation coming in for crypto to strengthen the industry, which is what a lot of founders like Gary have said is needed for them to do all the things they want to do. And then this stuff is actually playing out. But because of the current market conditions with the war, etc., you've kind of got them going under the radar. Like, they're not causing any sort of like crazy movements in the market when, you know, when you have stuff like the Genius Act, etc., that are passed. And I think these are big deals. And it's just, we're just waiting for kind of the storm to calm. And if these get approved and they're really positive for the space, you're just waiting for better market conditions for things to kind of catch a light.
Yeah. On that note, do you think, because of what's been happening in the world, that it's going to be possible for the new Fed chair to lower interest rates as we'd all hoped? What do you think, because of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I'm very deep in, because I've actually watched about 3 hours of footage of him.
Yeah.
The thing about, and you'll know this, Simon, from being a writer and also a coach, is you spot the gaps. You spot the gaps in what people are noticing. In fact, you in particular are very good at it, and it makes you a savage at finding these things, these different projects, because you see the things that people aren't spotting. It's funny. There's a guy called Michael Lewis, who's a writer. He says writing helps you spot the gap between perception and reality. And this, he was the one who wrote the film Moneyball. But he would go to these baseball games, and he would go, like, he would look at their salaries, and he would look at look at it through that lens, and like the left fielder would be on like, I don't know, like $60,000 a year, and the right fielder, or it might be the other way around, I don't know my baseball, would be on like 8 million. And he wondered if they would like argue.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
because the right be. Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. Just what was your original point? Because I'm just gonna. This is gonna be a big circle back.
I prefer that one. I was saying, you know, because of what's been happening, obviously the intention before everything that's been happening with wars, etc., was that with the new Fed chair, interest rates would come down. So, I was just wondering, because of the situation, whether that will happen.
So what people think is that Kevin Walsh is hawkish on inflation, which he is. But actually, if you spot what he's doing, he's only hawkish on inflation when the Democrats are in power. And I watched 3 hours of footage of him, and they were asking him hypothetical questions of what the Fed should be doing now. And what he says he says, look, you can see with all of these layoffs that are happening in these tech firms that are still producing. So they're laying off people, and they're making their profits increasing. And now that's a positive signal to the market, because, and what they're saying is, well, we're using AI to improve our business efficiency. What he's saying is there's anecdotal evidence that AI is improving business conditions. So there's room for rates to come down. And he uses the example of the mid-90s, where the internet was taking effect. People were using websites or landing pages to improve business efficiencies, but there was no data, because there was no way of measuring it in the same way that we have it now. There's no way of measuring how AI is improving business, because I'm sure there is a way, but it's not showing in any of the lagging data they use, like the jobs report or inflation or the ISM or any of these things. So, but also, if you dig a little deeper under the hood, his father-in-law is a guy called Ronald Lauder, Estee Lauder's son. And he was the guy who first floated the idea about Donald Trump invading Greenland. because
Mm.
they were mineral rich, and there was a national security threat because the ice caps melting or something, even though they're in denial about global warming. So it's either one or the other type thing. But Ronald Lauder used to be best friends with Donald Trump in college. So now it's like, okay, there's some insider baseball going on. Donald Trump's already said about Jerome Powell wanting to get him out. Too late, Powell, calling him a moron, calling him low IQ, all this sort of stuff, because he wants him to lower rates. And now he's got Kevin Walsh in, and now he's saying positive things about Kevin Walsh. Kevin Walsh is our boy. Kevin Walsh is going to lower rates. Kevin Walsh is straight out of central casting, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's so obvious he's going to lower rates.
I was to ask you both, and building on what you just said, would a continued war in the Middle East scupper even that intention, regardless of how AI is still under the hood, making companies more productive, etc.? Is it out of his hands?
Yeah, I think as soon as he comes in, if he lowers rates, it's going to look fishy, isn't it? So he's going to leave it a couple of months. But I think the oil price thing, they've got to get that sorted, because it's not so much that it doesn't impact America, but it's the knock-on effects of the global economy, which affects America. So, if it impacts other countries around the world, then maybe rates stay higher for longer. But in my opinion,
the intention is they're going to go down. Yeah,
because they've got because Scott Besson, his whole investing strategy is around the liquidity cycle. So he knows that when debts get refinanced, all these assets go up, and they'll want to do that ahead of the midterms. So they win kind of voting approval on the economy. If people feel wealthier, they'll want more of the same. They'll want to vote for more of the same. And, without getting too kind of political on things, I think this year is going to be the year. I think this is going to be the year. I think a lot of people are going to get caught offside. A lot of people are going to be on the sidelines and then chasing the train out the station, which is my
It'll
thoughts.
be really interesting to see with the NFTs. Just quickly circling back to that, if things start to build more and more to a crescendo, end of this year, as Ralph Powell was saying, early 2027, if we are really moving into a new kind of world when it comes to NFTs and a whole new way of looking at it, and it being taken up more, I kind of can see it going beyond that 2026, end of 2026.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's whatever's been happening with crypto, this new iteration of what NFTs are going to look like is only just beginning.
This is it.
So it'll be kind of strange if it suddenly went again after about 9 months. If you see what I mean, but maybe it would. I don't know. I'm not savvy enough to know that, but it just feels that it could go on longer. Yeah,
well, I think so. Bert, I don't know if you got anything to share, but I've got a bit of a nostalgic video which I picked up on the timeline. Obviously, when I do these, when I'm picking up on this stuff, I just look at the things that are going viral again. And one of the videos, I don't know if you guys saw, I think it was Impulsive, the podcast, and they had Mr. Beast on, and they're all talking about their experiences of buying a CryptoPunk for the first time. And they obviously spoke about, and I think this is part of the reason what set off the bull market, obviously that and Beeple's 69 million sale. Did either of you see that video?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't actually. No.
Okay. Well, let's have a quick look. But Birch, I know that you usually have some stuff to share on there. Just chuck it in the chat. But this video with Mr. Beast basically talking about he was bullied into buying a CryptoPunk. Have a look at this. Let's get that off there.
Can't see anything or hear anything, just so you know.
Yeah, we can't see anything, Jaden. You're not sharing it at the moment.
Hey?
It's not sharing for us at the moment.
All right. I'm basically listening to the video, having a laugh with myself here. Hold on 2 seconds.
I know it was a beautiful thing. We just couldn't see it.
I'm here having a laugh with Mr. Beast and Logan Paul, and you guys are saying that you can't see it. So let me add it to the screen. That'd be useful. Here we go, chaps. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Let's right. Buckle up. Buckle up.
So me and Logan both bought punks. You guys have probably seen on his Twitter that he bought a bunch of crypto punks at the same time, right?
Yep.
Gary pulled us in that call.
Yep.
So have you ever told that story?
No.
Gary V, it's like fucking 11 p.m. just out of nowhere, just calls me and he's like, "Yo, I got like 30 people to call. Hop in." I'm like, I don't care. He's like, "It'll be the best decision of your life. Just get in." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I just joined the call and I just see like Logan and I don't even know these other people. I don't want to put them on blast.
Every heavy hitter you can imagine who's worth $1 billion was on this one call, and Gary V is in the little corner, the little square. He's going, CryptoPunks. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be the next Facebook. We're all of us. We're like, okay,
everyone's
Gary.
judging. I'm texting Logan. And I'm like, Gary lost
is
his
this legit?
mind.
Bro, all of us are like, yo, Gary's nuts. Yo, Gary was right again.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We got.
I think that's fucking absolutely hilarious. Obviously,
Yes.
it's going viral again. And I know, I think back in the day it was, sorry, I'm just trying to get back to my screen here. Let's get that off there. Yeah, I know, like in the early bull market that went viral, and obviously it's coming back again because I think people sense something. But I think it's funny, like he's very bullish on CryptoPunks, and that's obviously now been a cultural phenomenon. But I think the long tail of NFTs is going to be interesting. It's like it can't just be CryptoPunks. It won't just be Bored Ape. There'll be a long tail of these projects that perform into the future. And I just think the obvious one is the historical stuff, culturally significant stuff, and IP plays. People don't realize that there's going to be a lot of winners here because these are just, you know, it's like
absolutely.
But it's like your play with curio cards.
Yep.
I think it's just, I think the long tail of all the way they're talking about CryptoPunks, curio cards happened 7 weeks before CryptoPunks. People don't even realize half of these things exist, and all the attention flows goes into CryptoPunks. Curio cards won't be CryptoPunks. However, there'll always be something that they go back to. They go, oh, okay, hold on a second. There are some other projects that actually predate CryptoPunks. I know that curio cards isn't technically the first on the. I think there's one called Ethereum, which is the first, but it matters not really because all of these things that predate CryptoPunks are going to get attention flows.
And talk about eye appeal as well. Like it's a lot of those Papyrium cards. I mean, it's obviously, you know, different strokes for different folks, right? But I would say, like for me personally, I think curio cards as like art looks unique. Like it's a card set. Like there's art from different artists, as you say, it's like the first Ethereum art show. But like when you compare it to Papyrium, in my opinion, Papyrium is like very meme heavy, very like kind of like someone's thrown it together. It feels less strong as a piece of art, and in terms of eye appeal for me, than when I look at like the Apple or, you know, blue, yellow, pink cards or the Wizard, etc. in the curio card set. Like to me, that is a stronger art than the Papyrium art.
I
think it's no, that's my personal opinion, right? But like, but I'm backing myself as like someone who can see eye appeal, at least in cards. I can see it, and so I'm banking. That's why I've gone heavily into curio cards and not into Papyrium. It's because I'm banking on the fact that I think other people are going to agree more with me than maybe a different opinion.
Yeah,
but I think they're all going to go up, really.
Yeah, this is like pick your poison, mate. It's like, you know, I'm just listening to you speak about Papyrium. I know that they have a strong community. They're actually a bit like a remote Amazon tribe. They'll probably come up in the comment section with spears or something, especially when I play. If I snippet this clip, mate, it'll probably get like 100,000 views and a whole bunch of abuse saying we don't know what we're talking about, blah blah blah. And the people have to lose the tribalism. What we saw in 2021 was the fact that each category went up optically in price. When World of Woman pumped, all of the female-led projects went up. Flower Girls, Boss Beauties, Woman and Weapons, all of these rose optically with it. So you had this kind of long tail effect. Same with historical projects. When the historical projects started pumping, you had this long tail effect of everyone piling into the historical stuff. Then it was the fine art. Then it was the photography stuff. Then it was the IP plays. Then you had all. So it's like you just got to pick something that you like and you resonate with. But I'm telling you right now, all of the historical projects are just going to go up because they're just a bet on us becoming more digitized, and they have ironclad supplies. They've got an ironclad supply, and you're just not going to be able to. It's like NFTs in easy mode, mate. But I get what you mean around the eye appeal. I think with curio cards, for me, it's the storytelling. It's the lore of the storytelling. It's like, okay, the first 10 take you through a passage in time. There's different iterations of art. I like the fact, and I know I actually shared a little blurb on it around how I used the words rejected X copy, which then I think someone from Curio Cards, it might have been Constantine, messaged me to say, "Oh no, we don't use that wording reject."
Declined.
But then I got a little. But then I actually searched it on Grok and I found X copy, and he said, "Here's the piece of art that was rejected from."
You're right. You are right. It's the correct word.
It adds to the lore. It adds to the lore of it that the best artist probably of this internet age got rejected from a project, and it adds to the storytelling. However, had there been one X copy in that collection, we would not be having this conversation because we'd be priced out of it. Like, it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
But I think there's a whole bunch like that. I think there's a whole bunch of historical projects, people getting into NFTs for the first time. If they just leaned into history, because you're owning a piece of internet culture, because obviously the beauty of the NFTs is they capture internet culture, but also you only need time to do the heavy lifting. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to know about you don't need to have Jedi skills like Simon, who knows about.
No, can I just say about Jedi skills? I really seriously don't think I do. I was just looking back through here, just because you were talking about, all these different collections that we hope will somehow go up regardless, just a little bit. And I looked at my 1,300 in one of my wallets, which is a bit sad in itself. And there are so many old names out there from 2021 that have been forgotten, aren't there?
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know if some of these might sort of remind people, like Doge Pound. Do you remember Doge Pound?
Yes, yeah, I do remember hearing about it.
I never heard of it.
Doge Pound, which has been around for ages, and I remember people were really talking about it because when the Bored Ape Yacht Club came out, there was a big thing for a moment that Doge Pound might, get swept up as well. And it's really great. I love the art, and its actual mission was to, which I think is great because I love dogs, is to sort of support and help dogs around the world and everything. And you've got all these ones like that. Of course, there's others that came out a bit later, like Renga. We talked about that a few weeks ago. There's lots, so many when you look through your wallet and you think, God, I wonder what might happen with those. And I've never sold any of them, which just shows you, because half the time it wasn't worth it because it's gone so low. But I just think it's fascinating. On another note, just on some things that are coming through a little bit, just to mention briefly, I'm not going to plug this. It's not even anywhere near ready. But my little NFT.
You have a discount code.
Well, I wanted to say I've got my little NFT agent that I've started bringing back some really interesting. I had the niche nuggets for a little while. I was trying to create something that would be both sort of what's happening, obviously, but also not. And like little things like I think it's a collection called Goblins, which has come through. It says, floor momentum and social communication, free mint to 0.055 ETH with multiple credible voices, says who they are, calling it a runner, 2x in 2-3 days, explicit KOL validation. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what little niche nuggets come up during this time now and what will fly. One other thing I was going to say was just very briefly on the Del Mundos, because I know I'm wearing the t-shirt, but actually just one small thing, which I think is really interesting. I listened in, couldn't sit here to live, but listened to the recording of the last Spaces. In a nutshell, what I like about this, and maybe other teams might do this as who come on into the new iteration and new era, is doing things a step at a time, really consciously. So, they did proof of work over 4 years to build the collection and get everything aligned for Climeta. But then they've done the proof of concept, which was, those edition ones, which were the silver necklace, which raised 3.5 ETH, which gone into the treasury. And the next proof of concept is going to be the holders of the NFTs, all three of us, being able to vote on where that money goes to. And then the next will be, and they've already got the charities lined up, I think, certainly some, it will be then getting the big brands in to add the third plugin. So brands feed the treasury. We vote on where that goes. It goes directly to the conservation charities around the world. And it's a win-win for everyone, because as a holder, you will get rewards for voting. And also they want to delight and surprise people with each new edition that comes through.
Do you think Del Mondo should come up with a strategy token eventually?
That's really interesting, because it's a good question. I remember sort of maybe posted something about that at one point, but when they are thinking of rewarding people who vote, holders, for where the treasury disperses the money to different charitable organizations. I may be completely wrong, and I'm not saying this as a fact, but I thought somewhere there was a possibility of them that being the reward might be in some tokens, but that may not be what they're going to do. So the question then would be, would they want to have a strategy token or not? But they may not be doing any of those.
See, I think the obvious I guess attack vector for a lot of these projects is actually a product of them doing well. Like, I remember speaking to Jacob the Chimpers, and I said, "Bud, what's the plan here if this gets to 10 ETH?" And I think he kind of thought, well, just a bit more of the same or whatever. But obviously they got a strategy token. They've now got this new contract. So if it gets to 10 ETH, they've got a way of capturing value, keeping it in the ecosystem and feeding the NFT holders. Perfect. But I think a whole bunch of other NFT projects that don't have a way of capturing value, and they're going to have a whole bunch of buyers get in at 2, 3, 4, 5 Ethereum during a bull market, and they're not going to be able to sustain the price, which is, I think, the strategy token could almost be used as a, excuse the pun, but a strategic way of providing value at a time where there's going to be a lot of downward pressure on the NFT floor price. But you do it so it doesn't hurt the NFT ecosystem. I think it's a real.
I think you're right.
Because I think, I mean, you keep that as like an ace up your sleeve, because we saw in 2021, 2022, founders had these fucking NFT projects go up to like 5, 10, 15 Ethereum, and then they decide to add some utility, like maybe send some merch, and then all of a sudden someone's got a £50,000 or $50,000 NFT, and they're getting a hoodie in the post, and they're like, I wonder if this is worth that. And then obviously the market starts sobering up. And then the prices start to capitulate. Whereas owning the token, the strategy token, is a value add. And if like Del Mondo's, they got the 10% royalty. If they use that to market buy their own token, now it becomes really interesting, because they can actually provide actual value, and it keeps it all in the ecosystem. But obviously I know they got a whole bunch
but that's a really interesting concept, because at the moment they're looking at that 10% is going to be feeding value back into the ecosystem. That's exactly what they want to do, which will be in the form of these additions as well, where they can commission artists and brand partners to do stuff. But I think anything that feeds the ecosystem, and the bigger picture for them is creating a blockchain driven space for big brands across the world to do what they have to legally, and they're obligated to do, which is to prove that they are environmentally friendly, and they're going to be, they're doing the right thing, and this way they can, and we can have fun with it. So I don't want to overplug them, but I think what I'm just wanted to say is I think it's a really nice strategy as a team. They're not going crazy and panicking. They're doing one step at a time, proof of concept, and then suddenly I think it will hit.
Yeah, nice one. Burge, it looks like you got something to share on your screen there, bud. We'll just obviously stick on the NFT concept for a second. So
so this is OpenSea. Well, this is Adam Hollander talking with CoinDesk.
And for a long time, like I said in my introduction, OpenSea was synonymous with NFTs. So just lay a foundation for us. Talk to us about where OpenSea stands today.
Yeah, so look, when you talk to most people at the conference and you ask them who's OpenSea, they're going to say world's largest NFT marketplace. And we are that, and that's great. But we've spent the last year really evolving. And you can now go to OpenSea, you can trade major crypto, you can trade meme coins across 26 chains seamlessly. We're adding perps, we have our new mobile app coming out. And so what we really are positioning ourselves towards is being the single best place where if you are looking to discover, own, or trade anything on chain and you want to have non-custodial ownership over your own assets and your own tokens, then OpenSea is the place to do that. And we also are very focused at the moment in removing a lot of the complexity and barriers and friction that are making it difficult for the next 100 million people to come into our space. And I think that people in the last few years have found the onboarding experience into crypto to be very challenging and very fragmented. And, you know, whether that's setting up a wallet or learning about security and seed phrases, bridging amongst different chains, learning about different asset types. And our new mobile app that we're building is really going to solve for all of that. It's going to put people in a position where they can install the app within seconds and get a provisioned wallet, double click Apple Pay, they can buy any crypto they want, and they can have all of their assets, their major crypto, their meme coins, perps, and a number of other things we've built Rails for, all in one place in one portfolio.
It's really interesting how the kind of the narrative has changed around OpenSea and marketplaces in general. I mean, we've been through a lot over the last few years, and OpenSea went up when we were first getting involved was the one that was leading the charge, and then slowly over time kind of got replaced by these other platforms. We had platforms like LooksRare come out, Blur come out, and eat into the market share of OpenSea. I mean, there's others as well. I mean, a lot of other art platforms came out as well, so that artists could produce pieces, I think, on Foundation or produce pieces at a much lower cost. And then even like Magic Eden, like more recently, were always platforms that were, you know, kind of taking the headlines away from OpenSea, and OpenSea was, you know, widely kind of rejected by a lot of the real hardcore people in the NFT space, but it was always used by, you know, more normie folk who were buying NFTs maybe for the first time, and it was always the one I'd recommend for someone new coming in to buy through OpenSea. And now we've kind of seen the revival of OpenSea. The only thing that's really hurt them over the last 6 to 12 months has been this token that they promised that they were going to deliver and then delayed. That's the only thing that's really damaged them.
I know, kind of trust-wise, maybe.
Yeah, and public image. But other than that, like it seems like they've been doing real work. They've been rolling out updates. You've seen it when you use OpenSea. You've seen certain things. Like I've just looked just now, right? And there's when I look at like how the NFTs that I've bought and sold over the last few weeks, I see that they've added this column where they've got the USD amount as well as the Ethereum amount, so that I don't have to hover over the Ethereum amount to get the USD amount. Like I could see both straight up, which is really cool, because that is, I think that's an important part of it. I think being able to see the dollar amount as well as the Ethereum amount helps to, because I could, for example, have bought an NFT 2 years ago for 0.1 ETH and then sold it today, and maybe I sold it for the exact same amount of ETH, but the ETH's now triple or double or half as much, right? So to see the dollar amount is important, I think. So yeah, it's just interesting to see kind of that story play out, or like over the last few years that we've been here, like OpenSea has been on a roller coaster, and I feel like I'm going to end it with, I feel like with that mobile app especially, I feel like the next bull run OpenSea is going to catch some real wind, and I think it's going to be the platform. It seems to be like these other platforms that I've used in the past, like Blur, they've kind of faded away, in my opinion. I think OpenSea is about to take over.
Yeah, and what you said, Burge, what you said earlier, and all of us were talking about, was the frictionless onboarding.
Yes.
You talked about there, right? And I think that's
a big deal.
I'd be interested to see what that will actually look like from their perspective.
Yeah.
But the most obvious thing is being able to use your email, which instantly sets up a wallet or whatever it might be,
We've that tech's been around for like a little bit now. Like VFriends has that, for example, where they set up a wallet for you when you make just an account with your email address. But I think it's more important. Like, here's a question to you guys: do you guys actually use OpenSea, the app, on your phone?
Yes, I go through MetaMask into OpenSea
to
go and purchase. Yeah.
So I think right now, like, it's not quite hit, but I think in a year's time, we're all going to be using the OpenSea app on our phone, and I think that is going to be a big deal, because if the market conditions pick up and new people start coming into the space, they're going to be a lot of them are going to be buying NFTs for the first time on their phone, and it's not going to be, as it used to be, Jaden, a computer activity. You know, buying an NFT, especially an expensive one, always was like a laptop or a computer activity, right? But it's gonna be, and that's gonna be good when you can buy it on a phone. That's gonna open up, and it's gonna make a lot more people kind of come in to the space. It's gonna be much more accessible, and it's also gonna mean, like, I don't necessarily think like loads of people are going to come in and buy an NFT on their phone that's worth, $100,000. But I think those lower NFTs that cost a few $100s, I think those will be bought up for sure on people's phone. Like it's going to open it up. It's going to make it much more frictionless, as you said, Simon.
Yeah. Also, immersive experiences. Just jumping a little bit here, did you see the other side mint for the Daniel Arsham collection, where you had to go into the other side to, first of all, I think, if you hold a mutant or a coder and etc., you would get a certain amount of tickets or something, and then that was put in, and you then won a raffle to either be able to mint his collection, but you would go into the other side and immerse yourself in the art, like going into a gallery. And that's cool. where you would mint. So you're having a kind of a 3D immersive experience in minting. So it's just not traditional minting, which kind of is another interesting development, isn't it? I love the way it's evolving in itself. That's just fun and engaging.
I think that's needed as well, and I think you're going to see that come back in a real way, especially because like the tech was kind of rudimentary back in 2021, but now it's evolved. Now you've got stuff like the other side out there. It's much different to what I was on when we were on that, or I was on before the interview we did with Coldy, and looking at his old pieces on like Decentraland or wherever it was. And, that was a very it was cool, but it was very like low tech, low graphics, etc. But like something like the other side, it's gonna be the new era. It's gonna be a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. It's exciting. It's just getting started. And I've transferred £50 to my 19-year-old daughter, because I said, "How much do you want?" And she said, "I don't really mind."
Oh yeah. That's a good strategy. You keep it open, because then the amount's always higher.
Can't be too stingy.
This is really interesting. Beeple's come out with Beeple everyday cards, and they sold out they got restocked today.
Oh, really?
Sold out in 2 minutes. These everyday. So here's, if you go to the foundation, nodefoundation.com, you can see he's got these packs, and they've been selling out, and he just retweeted it. People just retweeted the post. That's really interesting. So even he's foraying into physical collectibles a bit.
It's mad. Like, it's mad how the NFT market works. It's like a whole bunch of people were buying that's funny, obviously saying no to Pokemon cards, but he's Beeple every day. It's mad how like a whole bunch of people in Nakamigos. People says one thing over a weekend about Nakamigos, and the price goes up. And the price goes up to like 0.6, 0.7 Ethereum, whatever it was, on the Nakamigos. Let me just get that down there. But you can actually pick up a piece of his art for 0.2, 0.22 or something. It's like you're buying a piece of art that may or may not be related to people based on something that he said online about Nakamigos. Why don't you just buy his actual art? That's cheaper. You know, it's like with these collectibles. It's like, you know, obviously he's doing that, but people resonate with the card collecting at the moment because it's like it's in the eye of the storm. Collectibles is in the eye of the storm. So of course he'd release that. It's such a smart thing to do. It gets his IP out there without actually having to sell any of his art. And now you can own these cards. I don't even know what they are, to be honest.
But Jaden, you know why? It goes back to what Burge was saying. Of course, the reason they chase, I'm not betting against Nakamigos, are really cool. But the reason for that example is they chase that instead of going for the art. Is because they're hoping to get a quick win, aren't they? Buy in and then sell, which goes back to their mentality, I suppose, doesn't it? I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just what people do.
Yeah.
The other thing is just people's pull. Like you got to think about people in the space. There's people like Beanie who've, you know, said some crazy things over their like time, and so some people have unfollowed, some people have blocked him maybe, but lots of people follow people, and you know, just like and the timeline feeds you his posts. And so people's posts are kind of like a amplifier on whatever he puts out. So when he posts out a tweet about Nakamigos, you can be certain that it's going to bump something in price. It's only going to be short term probably, but that's probably what it is as well. A lot of people trading around those types of posts.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're obviously coming to the end here. I just want to say a massive thank you to the 84 of you that have joined us on a Sunday. I quite like this little time slot. It's not too bad. I'll just make sure I just have one less beer on a Saturday evening, so I'm a little less groggier. But really appreciate you guys joining. Obviously, if you want to get the recording, you can do it through carrotlane.com. Pop your email address in and you'll get the recording sent to your inbox. You can actually listen to it in podcast form on Spotify and on Apple and on Substack. So there's loads of ways to catch up on it. But folks, just before we kind of dive out here, anything that you guys are looking at under the radar plays that you think, things that we haven't mentioned potentially at the moment? I have one.
Go for it, Jaden.
I don't know if you have one just before I...
No, you go first.
Okay. So, as you both know, I'm big on Crypto Strikers, which is 2018 NFT project. And I'm seeing a behavior pattern on Panini at the moment of some of these large sales. We've had an Mbappe sell for $99,000 NFT.
Whoa.
We've had a couple of Messi sales, 86,000.
Wow.
These are NFTs. People, this is so under the radar. It's crazy. Now, a load of people are collecting these. They're the first licensed NFT of either a Messi or a Mbappe, and then obviously there's a few basketball players. There's a Caitlin Clark that sold for 75,000. She's a female basketball player. But I don't think. In fact, I know that a whole bunch of these people don't realize that there is an earlier project of a 2018 soccer collection, which is Rap Strikers or Crypto Strikers. And they think that the ones that they're collecting, obviously, is the licensed version. They think that's the first one on the blockchain, which I hate to be a spoiler, it's not. And actually, there's a 2018 project, which is effectively all of those players' rookie cards. And it also has the social consensus of it doing really well. I think in 2018, Crypto Strikers did $50,000. It did the most amount of volume on OpenSea for that year, along with, I think Crypto Kitties might have been 2017. So in 2018, Crypto Strikers did 50,000. In 2021, Crypto Strikers did 8 million in trading volume. So the social consensus is there. And now in 2025, 2026, you know, if you go on the same sort of run rate, you know, it's a significant amount. You know, I'm not saying it's going to do 20x from where it is now, but like let's just say we have another wave, has a small supply. People are already now collecting these things. Bearing in mind, Burge, you obviously know about the collectible stuff around soccer cards, is that it's got a huge North American audience, whereas actually a lot of the football, soccer is much more supported in Europe, South America, but like people in the US don't realize how big a global football audience is. Like it's if you take all the US sports, bearing in mind the Super Bowl is mega big, all of the US sports, the hockey, the baseball, the American football, you pile it into one, it makes up 1/10 of a global football audience. Now you have an NFT project, which is the first ever sports NFT. Like you say, Burge, the eye appeal is a big thing. So they used a really profound artist, and the eye appeal of this historical project just has it.
It is, yeah. It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And then also you're like, it's got a low supply based on the most popular sport, and it has the social consensus, but it's just a kind of like an unloved project which people haven't even looked at. And I think that's a sleeper. I think it's a major sleeper for a whole bunch of people. But also the key, aside from, because obviously with a lot of the collections, characters people resonate with and they lean into it. Whereas with the soccer cards, it's based on how good the person is as a footballer and where their career's headed. So you got to get the best ones. But I think they all go up in price. I think there's a world where you get some floor price ones that will just be worth astronomical amounts. And that's my sleeper to kind of end the show on.
I really like that one. Yeah.
Really
what about
good
you,
one.
Burge? Have you got anything?
I think mine would probably be, I don't know if it's a sleeper, but I think it might be a play. I just made a tweet whilst we were live. I think those Beeple cards, not an NFT, but those Beeple packs, those everyday cards, I think that could be a real play, especially with how physical collectibles are doing right now. If he's those, I think they were like of his everyday art pieces. So I think those could be a real, especially I think at the moment it's in pre-alpha, so they're low numbered. Yeah, I think that's what I would that would be my play of the day.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Jaden, you were talking about Rap Strikers, weren't you?
Mm.
You know, there's did you mention 77% up?
Yeah, I think that might just be a function of how people are using the floor price.
I think it's you speaking about it.
Yeah. They're up 7%. Yeah.
I was going to say that interesting with Figgy at the helm now, the other side.
Yeah.
His other initial baby was the 10KTF collection, and all the associated elements of that could be interesting to look at, because I think that's going to come into play in some form or another. And I was just looking at some other things. Interestingly, I am a holder of this. I was quite surprised I haven't looked, actually. You know, other side coders.
Yeah.
They're up to 1.09 ETH now, 19% up, because obviously coders are the original inhabitants of the other side. And people often talk about mutants, of course, but a lot of people saying they think coders will end up sitting somewhere between Bored Ape Yacht Club and the Mutant Apes in terms of a hierarchy within the other side. Yeah,
what's
because
the supply of them?
I think they've got something like 8,000, I believe.
Okay, so there's much less supply than the mutants.
8,105.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another thing to be looking at, which apart from the brilliant stuff, the art and the historical stuff, there's something else that I've seen.
Love it. Right, folks, just to Simon, thanks for joining us. Burge, thanks for joining us. Skydog Social, good morning, gents from the West Coast. Thanks for chucking your comment in there. We're just about to dive off. If you guys want to grab the recording, you can do so at carrotlane.com. Just pop your email address in. You'll get the recording sent to your inbox. You can listen to it back on podcast form. If you don't want to watch it, whatever, you can listen to it just with your earphones in or whatever. So really appreciate you guys joining. Thanks to the 87 of you that joined us. Until next week, probably going to do it at the same time on a Sunday. If we do it next Sunday at 9:30 Eastern time in the morning, we'll join you then. All right, guys. Nice one.
Cheers then.
See you later.
Bye.